What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk presents Two Cousins Talking Batman. Chris and I get down every Saturday morning. We have our bowl of, I don't have cereal, but imagine I have a bowl of cereal. We got cereal, and we're going over each episode of Batman the Animated Series. Right now, we're in season 1. You can go back and check this playlist out. We've covered several episodes, as well as a wonderful tribute Chris gave to Kevin Conroy, who passed away this month. This is our first episode jumping in post that news, and
Since right, it means it means it kind of hits a little bit different, right? Because you
especially
know,
this episode because it's so emotional.
yeah, yeah. So
Man,
I mean, in my video I talked about, and I think we shared the same sentiments prior because you and I spoke about it before, and Kevin Conroy was such a big part of our childhood growing up.
yeah, man,
He defined Batman, defined the role. So to kind of watch this posthumously is different, you know.
it's very different, and he brought a depth to these superheroes. I mean, at the time we had this and X-Men, and that time they were like treating these cartoons like they were legit series, like on HBO, like The Wire.
Especially this episode.
This episode is TV for real.
So let me tell you. So before there was Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. Before there was Two Cousins there was always Two Cousins, right? So Lawrence and I actually had this same conversation, probably this about exactly what we're delivering to you today. We had this conversation like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we would periodically, I think both of us, since this has been out. So this episode was released November 9th of 1992. So this episode hit its 30th year anniversary
Wow.
just recently. So
Wow.
we've had 30 years of this content, and over the 30 years, I know you have. We've revisited this series multiple times, and sometimes we watch it, and it's funny because you watch it at a different place in your life and from a different mindset,
Yeah.
and you kind of internalize it different. And when I saw this episode is in the top 3 for me. This is one of my
This is
favorite
amazing.
episodes.
It's funny because before we spoke about it years ago, this isn't the episode I remember watching as a kid. Like, I know I saw it, but it's not the one that I remember because, as a child, it's a great episode, but it doesn't, you don't see Penguin, you don't see him hanging off a man
Right.
bat.
Right.
As an adult watching this, I'm like, oh, this is amazing
This is a
content.
20-minute movie.
Yeah.
This has full arcs. I just can't get over how much they pack into this episode in the short period of time they have. It's really a testament to the writing, a testament to the series and everything. So before we get into it, let me give my background, a brief synopsis and a background on the episode. I have my notes right here. Okay, so we said this episode just hit its 30th anniversary. Air date November 9th. It was episode 4, a production 49, but air date 34,
Mm.
which is funny because the first appearance of Barbara Gordon was in Heart of Steel, but because the episodes were aired out of production order, this is actually the first appearance of Barbara Gordon.
Really?
Yes, yes, yeah.
So this is in Heart of Steel. Is she Batgirl in that?
I don't
Not yet.
No, not yet. No, that Heart of Steel, I believe, was the one with Karnak, or when they were doing the clones. I have to go back and watch it.
But it's really cool, like that this series gives us a slow burn. Like we get Barbara Gordon for episodes before she ever becomes Batgirl.
So we get Barbara Gordon as as really Barbara Gordon.
Yeah.
She's a daughter, a loving, doting daughter in this episode, and she's a real person in this episode, right? She's not just a one-dimensional like alter ego.
Right. Right. Right.
Right.
Man.
So, um, Sun animation was done by Sunrise, which is a great studio. Written by Matt Reeves. He's worked on a lot of Batman Beyond, worked on Justice League, a ton of like Diniverse content, and directed by Boyd Kirkland. And honestly, I have a couple facts that I'll hit like towards the end, but there's not that much. I scoured for like trivia and like cool facts about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much about this episode,
Hmm.
which is funny. Like this episode kind of flew under the radar, but it's just so freaking good.
good. I guess maybe because it didn't have. I don't even know if the Batmobile's in it. Really,
No, it's
like
not.
it doesn't have any of the things. This is just a straight up wonderful piece of drama. So maybe that's why like it missed some of the trivia because it didn't have the Batman-y like gadgets and rogues
Right,
gallery. So I don't
right,
know.
right. All right, let me give you a brief setup, and then we want to just get into it.
Let's do it, man.
All right. So Batman has serious doubts about his calling, and then Commissioner Gordon is seriously wounded. And then let's
Mm.
see what happens.
This graphic is so freaking intense because we talk about the artwork that leads us into the episode, the title card. This is intense for Fox Kids.
Lord, what I question is how did this episode couldn't be made now? How did this
No,
episode airing at 3:30, 4 o'clock get past the censors?
dude, he's lying in a pool of blood
He
here.
shot.
This is like The
He
Godfather. This is like a
he gets straight
Godfather
up.
art.
He gets straight up shot. And my mind is blown. Like he's straight up shot.
We were built different back then, man.
Oh my goodness. Let's go. Let's freaking go.
Let's go. I am the knight.
I am the knight.
Which is interesting because it's not night like knight in shining armor, which it usually is.
Right.
It's darkness.
It's the night because they're talking about this night. So this is Batman sitting down and he's tired.
Existential crisis, is that what it's called?
Existential crisis. He's not just tired. His body, he's like a weary body. My soul is tired, Alfred. So we know it's the anniversary of his parents' death.
Yeah.
And
well, pause it right here.
yeah,
It's
let me
going
pause
fa-
it
it's
before
going
we
to go
get to this
faster
grifter.
than usual.
Yeah. so it's the anniversary of his parents' death.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking to Alfred, saying how he's debating whether his crusade is really making the difference. And should he give up the mantle as Batman and go back to a regular life?
These are one of your tropes that you hate. You hate this trope,
I
Chris.
do hate. I hate this trope.
Did you hate it in this content?
No, I didn't because he's not. First of all, he's sitting in the bat suit in the
He's
bat
still in the
suit.
costume.
He's still in costume, so it's not like he's like I'm giving up the mantle. But I could. This made sense to me, even though I hate this trope. This made sense to me because how can you go through that much trauma and that much frustration fighting crime and not ever feel down and question it? He's not actively trying to give up Batman. He's just questioning whether he's making a difference.
Because the penguin's getting out, like as the paper
Right.
said. Like, what's the point of all of this?
Right. So he's not saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be Batman." He's just questioning right now. He's questioning like I hate it like when the Hulk is like I need to actively find a way to get rid of my powers. I hate that.
Yeah.
But to go through trauma and to question it is kind of humanizing.
And then to
So I
hear
didn't hate it so much here.
Kevin Conroy's just, I'm tired,
I'm
Alfred.
tired.
Just that, oh, it's like from the
My
depths of
soul
his
is
soul.
weary. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
Sitting in, like, I've never seen that chair in the cave ever until this point. Like, that's his
That's a sad chair.
meditations. Yeah, that's his sad chair. Man, and while he's going through this existential crisis,
Right.
someone is actually waiting for.
Right. So so I'll jump back. So this is his crisis, and then we see a shot of this kid, and this kid kind of bookends the series, the series, the show. This kid, he's trying to gain people out of money. Then we find out that he's kind of a two-bit hustler. These
Mhm.
guys try and shake him down, and Batman saves him. Right. So
Yeah.
okay, this is where we got to jump to.
I love Bullock in this whole freaking episode. Bullock is amazing here. He is a cop. He's like, let's do this. Gordon's like, we got to wait for Batman. And Bullock's like, let's put the pressure on him. Bullock's an amazing cop here. He's the only one that makes sense.
Bullock is right. So I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens in the series? Bullock is absolutely 100% right to be upset with Batman. Bullock is like in the right through this whole episode. So
Yep.
I mean,
He's the only one that makes sense. He's
only one
like,
that makes
let's
sense.
go.
Yep. All right. So they're at a stakeout for the Jazz Man, and he's a gangster. They're about to, and this part didn't make sense a little bit. So Gordon's like, I'm gonna wait till Batman shows up before I do my job.
I mean, but it just shows you how much the GCPD, Gordon relies and depends on Batman. Like they're at that. They don't really deal with it too much in this series, but there has been thoughts of like the reliance on Batman is actually like not great for the city and the
Very
police department.
right.
And at one point they needed to because the police department was so corrupt. But because of that, your reliance on Batman is like you got cops out here ready to do their job.
It's true. You know where you see that in Dark Knight Returns when Gordon
Mm-hmm.
retires and the new commissioner takes the place, and she the same exact thing you said. That was her acceptance speech.
Yeah, yeah, a city that doesn't need to rely on Batman,
Right.
and I wish, I guess, and maybe they couldn't because they couldn't like show cops in the wrong light. Maybe on Fox Kids, I don't know, but I wish that was more of an element here that the police department is corrupt because it's
Right.
not really here. You kind of walk into it with that head knowledge, but it's
Yeah.
not really in the series.
Yeah. They actually, you're right. They never actually acknowledge corruption in the force.
Not
It's just
really.
Batman helping out, but they never say why he has to help out.
But you know that in the back of your head, so you get why, but it's not actually here.
Right.
Um. So yeah, 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 yeah. Keep going.
All right. So Bullock, let's go. Gordon's like, let's wait. Batman's here, and then Bullock looks and sees all the Batman merchandise, and he gets enraged because Batman is like, Batman is Batman. He's becoming a force. Here's where we see him in Crime Alley. He's with Leslie Tompkins, a family friend that knows he's actually Bruce Wayne. He lays
Yeah,
the roses down. We can blow through this. This is where we see the kid. He's a 2-bit hustler. These guys are like, give me my $50 from taking your liver, and then
they fight him and they crush the roses. And,
roses.
oh, not the
My flower.
roses! And then, and this is skipping. There's so many clips that are skipped, but the kid winds up going with Leslie Tompkins and blah blah blah.
Right.
Um, Leslie Tompkins is a character that I would love to see show up in the Pattinson series. We haven't gotten a movie
She
version.
she would fit perfect in the
Yeah,
Pattinson series. She would be a grounding force for kind of like a Batman who's kind of maybe he's going too far, maybe he's losing his way, maybe he's losing touch with who he is. And Leslie Tompkins is very much like an Alfred type grounding force that kind
yeah.
of brings him back to reality and
He's a
humanity.
surrogate mother, like
Yeah,
That
exactly.
Alfred's the dad, and she would be the mom. Um, I guess it's interesting how you would handle that in the movies because you don't want to make Alfred lesser, but like if he has two people to rely on, that's very. I wonder how they would handle both.
So in this series, we see Leslie Tompkins is great in this series,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like even though Batman visits her as Batman, she deals with Bruce Wayne problems.
Yeah, way more than Alfred does in this series.
Alfred deals with Batman problems. Leslie Tompkins deals with Bruce Wayne problems.
Wow, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Where's our check? That's what I want to know. Where's our check?
That's how you freaking do it. Well done, Chris. So
Yeah,
Batman is like over here depressed
right,
and I'm late.
right. I'm
This
like,
all
I
right.
gotta go. The jazz band.
This is all Batman's fault,
It's all
FYI.
Batman's fault. So Bullock is like, so here's a jazz man saying, "I'm gonna play taps for Gordon." He has it out for Gordon, and
Yeah.
then Bullock goes, "Wait, we didn't get close enough to throw gas." And then little did we know,
Here's
it's Batman shows up.
Batman's
Hey,
what
look,
we do.
he's missing the yellow. He was missing the yellow around his
There's
chest.
a couple artwork things in this episode where things are a little
A little
missing stuff,
wonky.
a little
Yeah.
wonky.
Oh, this is it.
Ah.
So, did, how did this ever happen? How did we get this show?
the
How did we get
nine
this episode?
the 90s, 92 was different. 90s were different, man.
Jeez.
This would
So
never be on like
no,
network kids television.
no freaking way. This would have to be HBO Max.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they take down the Jazzman, capture the Jazzman. Bullock is like, "Hey, where's Gordon? Commissioner Gordon, like, come celebrate." And then you just see Bullock's face drop, and then we see
Uh,
Gordon laying in the ground unconscious
uh,
because he's been shot.
so good. It's so freaking good. And this is why, like, I love Justice League. I said this before. I love Batman with Superman and the whole team. But these are the Batman stories that get me going. These just Gotham City crime stories.
Right.
That's why I love them.
I'm with you, and of course, I'm a Batman fan. I skew towards Batman, but you're absolutely right. This is the environment that Batman strives in. We don't need to see him fighting Darkseid. We don't need to see him
Right.
swinging through, flying through space. These are the
Because he becomes less human because he has to be either this he has to be super smart, super durable, a super ninja when he's with the team. And the Gotham City crime stories, he's so human. He's mad human in this episode. He's going through everything that a human being would go through,
right.
and just questioning his whole existence, and then blaming. Okay, let's keep going. Let's
Yeah. Okay. So Gordon's down, and then wait, I'm see. Wait, you see
uh
horror on Batman's face. So what? I'll pause it real quick. So one of the facts that we saw is that Batman identifies so hard with Gordon because he makes a brief mention that Gordon's the same age as his father.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so Batman sees Gordon as another surrogate father figure
On the anniversary,
on the anniversary of his parents' death. So much emotion, so many
it's
feels.
only been like 10. We're only like 7 minutes into this episode, and they already
Right.
served up all the feels.
Oh man. So we have it's not Summer Gleason. I forgot who they used, but
Is it not? Oh,
so he visits Gordon, and I think he's apologizing here.
yeah. He's just like, I should have been there. Like he's a failure. He's like,
Yep.
I messed up. This is all my fault.
Yep. And then
And
Barbara
Barbara's like,
comes in.
no.
Yeah, Barbara comes in and it's like, you did what you could do, supporting. And then Book comes in and is like, pointy ears, blah, blah, blah.
Wait. What's interesting here is that even though Barbara isn't Batgirl yet, she has there's a familiar tone with Batman. Like
There
it's
is.
like she's obviously met him before. She doesn't seem like the Batman's here. She seems like I can talk to you like you're a human being.
Right.
And I wonder what.
So I think it's because Batman and Jim Gordon have such a tight relationship. He had to have been to the house. So
Yeah,
maybe that's why she sees him. I don't know. I mean, I think that's why she feels so familiar because he's so close with the father that it lets
yeah.
her carry over. I
And
guess.
it's been about 10 years because we know that Robin started at 9 and he's now in college.
Right.
And there's this wonderful episode in the New Adventures where it's Christmas and you got Gordon and Batman having coffee in a diner. Like the person who runs the diner shuts it down every Christmas at like midnight for them to have their coffee, their once a year coffee. And it's something they say they've been doing this whole time. So just like taking that, it's like, yeah,
I love that.
he's a member of the family to a
I
degree.
love that.
So
I love that.
I
I
can't
love
wait
that.
till we get this. There's some moments in the New Adventures, Chris, that's gonna get you like, oh man, I know the artwork's not as clean, but it hits.
The story is still there. I
The
agree with
story
that.
hits.
Yeah, I agree
So
with that.
Bullock, I love him here, man, because he is like, this is all your fault. I
He's
love Bullock
right.
here. He's
He's
right.
right. He's 100% right. Batman was late. Batman set up this thing, and even though, like, yeah, you can't be like, okay, it's Batman's fault, but someone has, if you're the leader, if you have to take, the wins and the fails, and you have to accept responsibility for
But
the mission.
there's also a strategy here. Like Bullock said, like who threw the smoke bombs. So
Right.
like Batman is, although this is this thing we're waiting for Batman, they're not working as a team here. I don't know what the original plan was, but Batman kind of
Right.
just went in. It's like maybe there was supposed to be a way we all work together. Batman goes inside. While he's inside, we're hitting our positions, but he starts throwing smoke bombs before they're ready. And Bullock right here is like, we're coming after you. And I don't mean the cop. I mean me and you.
Right.
I'm like, I need a whole Bullock series.
Yes.
I need a crime Bullock series with Batman kind of in the. I know you hate Batmanless Batman content,
Dude.
but I kind of need a Bullock. I need Bullock to get into the Pattinson movies, and I need a Bullock series.
So we'll have to do it. There's an episode called A Bullet for Bullock where
Mm-hmm.
someone's after Bullock, and then Batman and Bullock work one on one. You realize it's not who you think it is, but you go into Bullock, and Bullock kind of toes the line, explains how he toes the line, where he's a good cop,
Yeah.
but he bends some rules.
He's a good cop in the worst city in the world, man.
Yep,
So
he's not that good of a person though.
you can't be in Gotham. Not to
No,
be you can't be a good person and a good cop in Gotham City. That's why
right.
Gordon got. You
Yep,
can't
that's what. Look what happens. You
look what happens. You need a
and you
little
want to
dirt
lose the
under your
street.
fingernails, man.
Yep.
All right.
So this is where he's yelling at Batman.
Ah! That's when he goes to the cave and he starts throwing all the machines around,
Yep.
destroying billions of dollars worth of equipment.
Yeah, he's a billionaire. He can have a tantrum. So we see the jazz. So here's what I understand. So this guy's in jail. So his focus is like, I gotta finish Gordon. Like,
I I like this as an adult because as an adult, I just naturally start filling in the blanks. As a kid, I might be like, why is he have to? I don't. But now, like Gordon must have, obviously when Gordon was a detective, he must have really leaned on this guy.
yeah.
you know,
So he's like, I don't care what happens to me. If getting Gordon is the last thing I do, then that's it. I mean, I'm a career criminal. I'm a sociopath, and Gordon's in my sights, and I gotta finish what I gotta do.
finish what I got to do. I don't care. I kind of like. I mean, and that's the kind of character you need in this because it's only 22 minutes.
Right.
So we need someone who just has an iron will, super determined, and here's my goal. It's loud and clear. Anything more than that, we don't have the time to flesh him out.
Right.
You
We
know?
have so much going on in the story to begin with. We can't.
Yeah.
We just don't have.
There's just no room for it.
Right. Right. So,
The jazz, man. I
the
love it.
jazz man. So they were saying that he was a. Hold on a second. So they were saying one of the facts was that they kind of based him on Carl Grissom. Was like he's supposed to be like a precursor to Carl Grissom from '89 Batman. They said he was one of the inspirations for Carl Grissom.
Which one's Carl Grissom?
You know the bad guy that Joker killed?
The cop?
No,
No.
no, 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 no.
Oh,
Joker's boss. Let me find it.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. That's what they were
Well,
saying. So
well,
I don't know if that was just like inference or it was actually fact. Because I'm telling you, the facts and trivia on this episode were sparse. So
I like that he wasn't like a Tony Zuko, or he didn't seem kind of silly and immature. He was pretty scary. He's pretty
yeah,
like
he's a full blown gangster. He didn't have a stick. Like
yeah.
they called him the jazz man just because he carried a gun in a case, but he's not like, oh, I'm coming out in jazz clothes and playing like, and I don't have like musical instruments that shoot guns. I'm just a gangster. I just have a gun. I'm gonna kill you.
I just watched a Batman Brave and the Bold episode, and that literally was the bad guy. He's the music meister, and
Yes,
that's
yes,
what he
I've seen
did.
it. I've seen him before. Yeah,
It's my favorite episode of Brave and the Bold. All
and
right.
I think in the New Adventures, there's an episode where they this is actually really cool. They actually visit different eras of Batman. So there's a
Yeah.
you remember that episode? I have
And
to find it.
the kids are telling their stories.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
They do
yeah.
a golden age, and I think they have the music guy in that episode.
Oh, I gotta go back and check.
Yeah. So we see Batman is
Just tired. I'm
tired.
tired.
My soul is weary.
About this is Alfred calls Dick to come here.
To help.
Like it seems obvious, but like sometimes these stories just miss the obvious. We're like, because we'll be watching it, we'll be reviewing a movie, and we'll be like, well, why didn't they call someone so to help? It seems obvious, but a lot of times it doesn't happen. And here, of course, Alfred will call Richard. Get
Of
over
course.
here. We need you to talk to your father.
Right.
And we don't get this hardly ever in the animated series, New Adventures or Justice League, which was a maskless Batman in the cave.
Yep.
And here he took his mask off. That was
Yeah.
huge for me because you don't
Yep.
ever see it.
Let's keep going. So now we see the Jazzman has escaped.
How they just escaping
They just escaped.
prisons.
He
Oh,
comes up
that's a good
through the
shot.
water.
That's a good shot.
That is a good shot. And then Dick. So Dick
They're
knows Barbara
friends.
too. Yeah.
I felt like he would be out of her tax bracket, but I like how is this trust fund kid
Barbara's
silver
fine,
spoon
man. It
kid?
doesn't matter. It doesn't
You're
matter how much
right.
money you got. You fine. You fine.
You're right. And he's like, I'm gonna take care of this because Batman is, he's going through
Right.
stuff. And he's like, no.
Right. So this is a good point. So Dick is like, look, if you need to figure out your stuff, I got you.
I
Let me
love
help you.
Robin in this series. He's just
Yep.
not this sidekick. He's
No,
like,
he's not. So
yeah.
that's a good point. We talked about this when we did Robin's Reckoning.
Mm-hmm.
How we see an older Robin, more mature, more responsibility. He's not acting like a sidekick here. He's acting like
No,
a partner. He's like,
no.
look, when you drop the ball, I'll pick it back up.
Right. And he is so mature in this episode because when Batman says, I got this, he knows he can't tag along with Batman. He knows like you have this is something you have to deal with on your own.
Right.
And I trust that you can. And that's the level of maturity that we didn't necessarily see him have in Robin's Reckoning when he was like, "Oh shucks."
Right.
Although I don't know which one came out first, this or Robin's Reckoning, but
I believe Robin's Reckoning came out first.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
But yeah, I love Robin in this series.
Yeah.
And then
So
dude comes through the wind. Oh, yo.
okay. So what's not shown here is
Mm-hmm.
we see the jazz man come up behind a window cleaner, takes the broom handle, like crack, knocks the window cleaner out, and then takes the the thing that they clean the windows with,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. So we get a cool shot of the window cleaner knocked out on the ground again, almost like reminiscent of Gordon on the ground. But you see them moving, and the police roll up. The Jazzman's out. Jazzman has a gun, and the Jazzman is at Gordon's window, ready to do what he said he was going to do.
But look at this shot. This is intense for kids' television.
It is.
A man's unconscious, head is in the foreground, and you just got a gun to his head.
Yep.
Not like a laser Darkwing Duck thing, like a
No.
legitimate
And it's a
gun is to
pistol,
his head.
which is huge because I know that they were very, very limited into how they were allowed to use handguns because it's easily replicatable by children. So
Right.
they had rules on how they were allowed to use guns and how the guns were to be fired. So if you watch the series, you pay attention, you'll see them shooting a lot of machine guns and stuff like that. You very, very rarely see them shoot a handgun because that's one of the things the censors were on them about. So
in some episodes where we're like, why are these guys all fighting Batman with just crowbars? It's like because we really wanted the pistol in this episode.
yep.
So they almost had to like delegate which episodes can have what. Yeah, that makes sense. But this is intense.
This is intense.
This is intense.
So he's outside with the gun. Barbara's about to lay her life down for her father. Don't shoot my dad.
Showing that she's a hero.
Yep.
And can we pause? We gotta talk about this. Batman comes in, and this whole thing is like slow motion, and it's so dope. Just like, and up until this point, we've had like I said, Batman's riding Man Bat. He's fighting all these guys. I don't know if the werewolf episode happened. Like it's action packed.
Yeah.
But this single moment in slow motion was just as action packed as him fighting off 30 thugs. It was so intense.
Let's talk about this because that's a good point you make. In this episode, we see him throw smoke bombs. There's not much engagement with him and the Jazzman's thugs. We just see him throw smoke bombs, and we see him throw a batarang.
Yeah.
And that's the limit of our Batman like physicality in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this moment slow motion so much more impactful because this is why this episode, I didn't remember this episode as a kid. And this is why when we talked about it, you said you don't remember it either. Because you're right. There's no hokey villain. Not that the villains are hokey, but there's no villain with a chick. There's no like mindless violence. It's all like a cerebral, like existential story.
Yeah. This is not as a kid you would have enjoyed it, but this wouldn't stick out to you.
Right.
As a kid. Batman's emotional. And like, no. But as an adult,
I may
whew,
even push back. And as a kid, I don't. I mean, I don't remember, but we may not have liked this episode as a kid. This episode may have been boring as a
it
kid,
might have been on in the background while you played. This wasn't
right?
my it wouldn't. This one and the one where he lost his memory in the junkyard, or when he's on the
Oh,
chain
the one
gang.
you hate.
I can't wait to revisit that one because I want to know like if I do if I like it as an adult. Because as
It
a
was
kid, I
all right.
liked it.
I rewatched it because
What
I
is it?
rewatched it again recently, and it was all right. I
It's
mean, it was
too no Batman.
yeah,
But
to no bad.
this is perfect. And this
Yeah,
shot right here, and then he throws it, and he doesn't stop. That's the thing here too. He doesn't stop the gun from going off. It's like it's a millisecond
right.
where he would have lost again. And then, in real life, his hand would have been bleeding. If this is
Yeah,
HBO
of course
Max,
it
his
was
hand would
blown
have been
up.
blown apart. And here we got Gordon. This might be the only part I didn't like about the episode.
Okay.
And I know we needed to lean into it for Batman's sake, but I didn't need Gordon saying, "I wish I was the hero you are."
Yeah. So
Yeah, come
I,
on.
I think this gave Batman the opening up to kind of express to Gordon what Gordon means to him. So I think Gordon sees a lot of what he wanted to strive for as like when he was young in Batman, because Batman's out there cracking skulls, and he says, you're a hero, and then Batman lets it's a kind of like a I forgot the word for it, but it's kind of like uh, you know, I don't know. They just kind of just feed off each other. No, you're the hero. No, you're the hero. No,
Yeah.
we're all heroes.
Bullock is like,
I'm
I'm
the
out in
damn
these
hero.
streets. I'm over here.
You guys are in here talking about feelings, holding hands. I'm here trying to clean up the streets.
Like, what about me?
Exactly. I didn't do
Man,
anything wrong in this episode. I'm the good guy. You guys screwed up. You were late.
both of y'all
You got
screwed up.
shot. I'm the only one who succeeded.
I'm Team Bullock this whole episode, man.
I agree with you on that.
Um,
I agree. I
and then
agree.
Batman, he's like, I feel good now, and
Yeah.
then because he felt like he was pointless, and then here's where it's the thing. It's not about the villain. This is what I love about Batman and vigilantes in general. Whether it's Batman, Daredevil, Punisher, doesn't matter who it is. There's a moment where they realize it's not about the bad guys I put away. It's about the people I saved.
There you go.
And that's where this kid gives that to Batman. He didn't save this kid's life like from a burning building. He literally put him in a situation to become a better person
Right.
on a whole different level. And if that's what gives Batman the purpose to like keep doing what he's doing. It's not about Penguin's gonna break. Y'all have a terrible criminal justice system and a
Right.
terrible jail system because people break out and get out all the time.
All the time.
But you saved his life, and that's gonna stay. That's gonna stick.
Right. It's a nice bookend, and then
Oh, that shot.
we see him standing in front of the moon, and now he's like, you know what? I should be Batman. I am the knight.
I am the KNIGHT.
Oh,
I am
now
the
he's the
knight.
knight. Nice.
I am the knight. Wonderful episode, man. This episode is one of those episodes where I get really sad. I'm gonna get really sad if they don't find a way to make that new animated series. Because I feel like that's probably gonna lean into this way more.
Yep.
And I just hope it finds a home. The new Paul Dini, Bruce Timm it's the same guys
Same guys.
doing it on HBO Max, able to strip Batman down a little bit more and put him in the Gotham City crime ridden. And we were supposed to get that, and then that's gone. So hopefully, he can find a home, man.
I hope so. I hope
Disney
so.
Plus, go ahead and get that Batman series.
Maybe. Let me give you some of the few facts that I have before we get out of here. When the police dispatch mentions they mentions the corner of Adams and O'Neill when they're talking about where the jazz man is. It's a reference to Neil Adams and Dennis O'Neill, which were writers in the late 70s for Batman.
Oh,
Um, Batman's word to Leslie Tompkins, I have promises to keep, echo the well-known first lines of the last stanza of Robert Frost's poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. The following line is, and miles to go before I sleep. So the reference is apt. So Batman is well
these
versed and smart, quoting Robert Frost.
smart people
Yeah,
that made this show, man.
yeah. Oh, this is a funny fact too. when Bullock sees Gordon lying on the ground, he says, "Oh my god," which
Mm,
is the second time in the series that it was used. They said it in Heart of Ice too. So it's kind of a I don't know if they would say that now. And there's been a few like
mm.
religion references that I don't know if that would exist in if this show
Today,
was made now.
we're in such a weird time.
We are. We are.
Which makes it everybody, everything's kind of vanilla unless it's on like HBO Max for adults. But as far as kids, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know. It wouldn't have crossed my mind, but now that you said it, yeah, it probably doesn't come up.
Yeah. So, special voice guest, the guy who played the kid wizard, do you know who that was?
No.
Seth Green.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was big. He was popping around it. Was this
This was 92, so he wasn't anything yet. He wasn't Austin
no.
Powers yet. He
This is
wasn't in
before
Can't Hardly Wait
Buffy.
yet. No, no,
Yeah.
obviously no Family Guy yet.
Yeah.
But he wasn't big yet.
Wow. Well
Yeah.
done. Well done.
Yeah.
Because he had to give us a whole kid, a whole mood in like 5 minutes. He
He
had that
did.
much time and he did it.
Yeah.
Well done, Seth Green.
During so in the cave when Bruce is talking to Dick before when he threw his mask down into the
Mm.
chasm, Batman says, "When you look too long into
Oh.
the abyss looks back at you." This is a direct reference to Friedrich Nietzsche. So again, like a high literature reference,
These people are too smart for me. I'm trying to write stuff and I'm like, I need to start reading more books because these guys are
right?
pulling when when you stare into the abyss and the abyss stares back. I'm like, ooh.
Exactly.
Ooh.
So the last thing I want to drop on you is that this episode foreshadowed Batman Beyond. Because when Batman is having his existential crisis, he says, "I chose this life. I used the night. I became the night. Sooner or later, I'll go down. It may be the Joker or Two Face or just some punk who gets lucky. My decision, no regrets, but I can't let anyone pay for my mistakes." The first episode of Batman Beyond, it's not the Joker, it's not Two Face, it's not anyone. It's just some guy who gets him Batman, and Batman has to grab a gun. So he kind of foreshadowing his own fate because it's just some punk.
It's just some punk who gets lucky. And
Yeah,
in real life, that would be the thing, right? It's just
of course.
that one night. That one night.
You roll those dice so many times, your number's gonna come up eventually.
Man, it's a good thing he had a suit of armor when it did.
Good thing. Good thing.
Man, it's a great episode, Chris. This is a fantastic episode. This is the kind of episode that I would tell anyone who's an adult that wants to watch this and hasn't seen any episodes, watch this episode.
Yes.
Watch this
Absolutely.
episode.
Absolutely.
Um, because we talked about we had it. I stand corrected. Chris, you might have wanted a debate from our podcast. So the question was like, what piece of content would you give someone if they knew nothing about anything? And you said Batman the animated series, and I said no, you can't give them the whole series, just one episode. And I didn't know if there was just one standalone episode that just works without you needing others. And you can give this to somebody, and they would kind of get it.
I tell you, my debates are a slow burn. It may seem ridiculous at the time, and, and then it always comes back. And I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna throw that in your face 100% when we have the debate on our podcast.
For those of you watching us right now, we have a podcast. Link is in the description below. Check it out, as well as our other reviews, our toy unboxing. We have so much stuff on this channel. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. Chris, I think that's it, man.
That's it. That's all I got. This is one of my favorite episodes. I'm glad
This
we
might be
got to
number
it.
one. This might
Yeah,
be number so far. I thought, Robin's Reckoning is still my favorite, but this might be the best one.
I agree.
We'll see. We have way more to go. We'll see.
We'll
Jury's
see.
still out. We'll
A
see.
lot to do.
Lot to do, man. But yo, thanks so much for watching. Like I said, we got stuff in the description. Check it out. We'll be back. Same bat time, same bat
That
channel.
channel.
We're gonna get that right one.
One day we'll get it right.
Peace.
Just not today.
Not today.
Laters.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. We're talking